Welcome to the iconic Riches in the Niches series, an inspirational space to educate officiants on growth gems and the importance of honing your unique style and creative offerings. I'm your host, Tiara, New Jersey officiant, owner of Royal Treatment with Tiara, and creator of the Wedding Officiant Academy. And I am beyond excited for today's guest. So please give us a formally informal introduction to yourself and your business.
Perfect. Hi. Well, first, thank you so much for having me. This is super exciting. I still get so geeked out about every connection I make with people. It's like across the world. This is a big deal. My name is Cherise Klosner, and I am a PNW based wedding officiant. My business name is Another One Ties the Knot, and I have been officiating now unofficially since 2017 and officially since 2020, kind of like mid 2020. I have had the opportunity to officiate hundreds of ceremonies, and starting from like the very, very base where you're kind of like, I'm just trying to figure out how to do this. So you do them all up until, where I'm at now, where I feel much more confident in myself and like who I'm presenting as for each couple. But yeah, that's me.
That I love that. So yeah, we're definitely going to get into a lot of gems and just really good conversation. But before we do that, I would not be me if I did not start out with a little bit of gratitude. So I want to invite you into a practice I do with all of my couples in every meeting, which is a gratitude check-in. You
All
share
right.
one thing you're grateful for, I'll share one thing I'm grateful for, and then we will hop over to the icebreaker.
Perfect.
Yes.
Me first? Okay. Currently I am so grateful for the opportunity for expansion. So I'm working on some new things, and the timing of it all is so incredible. Like as busy season slows down, and like kind of the fatigue a little bit, from busy season allows some space for creativity and kind of like what's happening in the lull. So I'm very grateful just for timing and space and the energy to kind of like feel revitalized to try something new within the same realm.
Oh, I love that. That was a good one. Um, okay, what am I grateful for? What am I grateful for? Honestly, I am really grateful for the trailblazing female officiants who have come before me. I just was very lucky coming into officiating at this time because as I've been doing this series, I've realized that I'm speaking to officiants who've been in the game, 5, 10, 15 years where they didn't have, maybe representation or opportunities to gain knowledge beforehand and definitely not seeing the potential, the longevity, or the possibilities within their role as an officiant and like the
For sure.
business and the growth. So seeing, people like you and, Rev Roxy, Rev Whitney Marie, Minister Toya, Rev Orcella, just all of the Black women that I see
Yeah.
myself in when I look at y'all. So I'm just grateful for where y'all going and it lets me know that, hey, I can go blaze a trail or two myself.
There's room. There's room.
I love that. So I would love to know, and I'm sure you can't just choose one, but what is one thing you love about officiating?
Um, what is it? Well, I think it's hard to like nail down one particular thing. It's really a feeling. So like I worked in dentistry for years and years and years, like 16 years, like my whole adult career, I guess. And I used to always say I really missed waiting tables. I waited tables all through like my teens and like very, very early 20s. Um, and I just miss that, like those small interactions with people. And back in the day when I was waiting tables, many people were paying with cash, which seems so
Right.
crazy now. So like you managed your own little like bank and you had your own little business within the business. And I just always loved that because you just sort of went in and did your own thing. And of course, you're working in concert with other people. And as I was doing my dental assisting job for years, I was at a surgical center. Like, I always said how much I missed it, but I was like, I don't want to go necessarily back to it, but how do I recreate that feeling? Um, and officiating, that was totally random. I officiated for some friends. It was really cool. I just enjoyed the space, but like it still didn't click right away. It took a few more like couple other friends that I had officiated for, and then a couple of coworkers, and then I was like, oh wait a second, that feeling that I missed of like kind of running my own little thing and having these interactions with people, happy interactions. So a lot of,
Yeah.
not all waiting tables was great. Obviously, people, they had issues with whatever. But my first restaurant that I worked in was this like 50s diner. And if you got the breakfast shift, you were top. Sunday breakfast, that was, and people were just happy to come in and then they share their weekend with you or what they had left of it. And it was that I really, really enjoyed. And I'm a very type B person, very type B, proud type B. And I just always had a way of like kind of connecting with people and feeling very like chill with them right out the gate. Just kind of like, oh, what do you got going on? Very, very chill. I'm not going to lead you to do certain things that I don't see you already heading in that direction. Like, I want you to feel comfortable in the space that you're in. And I didn't realize I was doing that so much back in the day when I was waiting tables, but I see it now on the opposite end because people are so concerned about the ceremony. That's where their most nerves are. And so I want to just like ease that for them and for myself because I'm like, I'm not trying to suck up all that energy and be nervous too. Like, let's be chill together. So, yeah, that is really what I love most about it. It's just like that feeling of like being able to bring some peace to a moment that can otherwise be very nerve wracking.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. That's a good one. That's a good one. Okay, so I love that you kind of started talking about your officiant origin story. And I want you to go a little bit more in depth, but specifically, I would love to hear your inspiration behind becoming a wedding officiant. I was looking on your website a little bit, so I love how you spoke about the impact your officiant had and how you wanted to show up, as that in this space. So yeah, let's hear a little bit more about that because that's not your typical origin story. You usually hear a horror story as the reason why, people
Yeah,
start or you're filling in, for a friend last minute or whatever it is. But yours is like, no, I have my own and I wanted to.
for
So yeah.
sure. So for the first wedding that I officiated, by that point my husband and I were married, and some close family friends of ours were getting married in another family friend's like backyard. And I remember asking them like, who's officiating for you? And the bride was like, oh, my coworker's ordained, like he might do it, but I'm not really sure. And I was kind of like, well, if you don't find someone, I was like, I heard you can get ordained online. I'm like, I'll try it out. And they were like, actually, if you could do that, that'd be great. Then we can stop thinking about it, check it off the list. And that happened to be my youngest daughter's, like, I don't know, maybe her second birthday or something like that, third birthday. I don't know. She was really little, but like I got ordained that night online on her birthday. And then I just hopped on Pinterest and I was like, okay, I remember what we did at my wedding, like, our wedding. We said vows and exchanged rings. And I was like, okay. And I just started like putting things together. Um, and it turned out great. And like when I left their wedding, there was people there, guests that were like, oh my gosh, like, do you do this? Could you do my wedding? Da, 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 da. I actually, that particular bride, her father got remarried. I did his wedding. Um, and so that was how it trickled. But like the initial feeling was when my husband and I got married, we'd been together 14 years by that point. 14 years, 2 kids, mortgage, dog, all the things. When we got engaged, heavy around the quotes, engaged, we got married 3 weeks later and we had a big wedding, like 200 people. It was really like word of mouth, like, oh, John and Cherise are getting married. Be there.
Right.
And so my best friend, I was like, I don't know who's going to marry us. She was like, oh, I know this guy, Pastor Mike. He's great. And my husband and I he's probably a little bit more religious than I am. And religious is still like heavy on the term.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
am one that like, I believe in the power of believing for whatever that is for someone. Like, and so I was like, okay. I was like, sure, Pastor Mike's legal. He can do it. I was like, can we just like, I don't want this to feel like a church ceremony. I was like, that's not the feel that I want. That was all I had. That was my input. And
Yeah.
my best friend, obviously her and I had grown up together. So she kind of gave him more details about us that I didn't really realize was happening. So just like so many people, we were kind of like, okay, for the ceremony, short, sweet, keep it cute, keep it pushing. Like we're going to go, we want to hang out. And he did exactly that, but talked very intentionally about us. And that caught me off guard to the point where I was like, I mean, I was listening to this man. I was like, wow, how did you know that? what are you saying to me right now? Like, it was very, I was shocked by the whole thing. Like, so taken aback in the best possible way. And like when we finished and signed the license and everything else, I like the whole rest of the night, everything was great, especially for something that was thrown together so quickly. But I always went back to the ceremony and how great that was because it was so least expected. And like honestly, like I don't say least cared about, but it was kind of like, yeah,
Yeah.
you just gotta, just like everybody. And so the way I work, there we go. I always tell people that story, and so I let them know, like, I understand where you're coming from. Like, I totally get it, and uh, I want to make sure that whatever slice of the day we have, so whether that's 20 minutes, 25 minutes, whatever, like, I'm going to make sure that you and your guests all know that they were at your ceremony and not just at the ceremony. You know what I mean? Like, at
Yeah.
a ceremony. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's shout out to Pastor Mike wherever he is in the world now. I think he moved. I don't know what he's doing, but yeah, he was really like a true inspiration.
Yeah. You know what? Shout out to Pastor
Yeah,
Mike because you probably maybe weren't expecting that, even just because the term, like Pastor Mike, like, with the
yeah,
title, you're just thinking it's going to be a lot more mundane, just kind
very
of,
much so.
again, cookie cutter, kind of the mill, yeah, type of thing. So when he was like, well, hold on.
Yeah,
Let's make it more about you guys because this is about you guys.
he
So
really did that.
kind of birthed the idea.
Yeah, he was great.
Yeah. I love that. That's so dope. Okay, so you had a great officiant experience. You were able to provide a great officiant experience for your friends for their first ceremony and, the ones after that. When did you know that you wanted to transition this thing that you love, this kind of, passion outlet into a business? And when you did, how did you come up with such a fun name like Another One Ties the Knot? I love that.
It was so it. I would say it was immediate. Like after I did my first one, I was like, that was so much fun. I am a Leo very much through and through. So there's like little bits of it that like kind of fed that part of me.
Uh-huh.
I'm a bit of a documentary junkie as well. So like here, even though I knew this couple, like I'd known the bride since she was like 5 or 6. Like I knew her.
Yeah.
But like hearing details about the relationship and things like that, I was like, oh, this is cool. Like hearing, A to B to C, all these points. So I really enjoyed that. And I remember after doing that first one, I was kind of thinking like, who would hire me again? Like, I don't know. Do I have any friends who are getting married right now? And actually, funny enough, both my best friend and my sister got married, and I was like, let me do it. They were like, ma'am, no.
Right.
You're a maid of honor. And I was like, you guys are
Mm.
really, they weren't at the wedding that I did. So I was like, you guys are missing out. Should have had me or whatever. Um, and so I was just like after they got married, it was again like, how else am I gonna do this? So then I had a coworker get married. Well, I did actually, let me back up. The original bride, I had married her father and his new wife. And then there was another friend of theirs. They kind of introduced to, so there was like a little kind of community of those folks. Yeah. And
Mm.
then I married my coworker, and then COVID hit, and I was kind of like, at that point, I was fed up with my job. Okay, I was fed up, and I was like, how do I get out of here? Um, and so I went home. Like everyone did the first couple weeks, I was just chilling. Like, what are we gonna do? Whatever. And then I was like, I would just wonder what would happen if I started an Instagram page. Like, people are gonna see it or they're not. And
Yeah.
so when I first started it, it was literally just my name. And then I don't know how I met this next couple. I can't remember. It had to been a friend of a friend of a friend. And I was like, oh, got another one. Another one bites the dust. I don't know. Like it just sort of, it was a thing
Yeah.
that kind of stuck. And then I'd noticed the last few weddings I'd been at, a lot of people were playing that song as their exit song. It was very popular during that time. And so then I
Mm.
just spun it and went with Another One Ties the Knot. And like when I first did it, I was like, is it corny or is it like good corny? And I was
Yes.
like, whatever. I was like, it's just going on Instagram.
Right.
And yeah. And then all of a sudden I remember 2020, I got like my first like elopement, and it was out at Ruby Beach in the Olympic Peninsula, which is like where Twilight and all that stuff was filmed. And I remember
Oh,
thinking
I love
like,
fun.
these people want me to drive all the way out there to while they're getting eloped at like, and it was at dawn, so it was early in the morning in October. It was freezing. But yeah, it was like my first strangers, and I remember thinking like, okay, so I there was this like additional layer of like just like intention and intensity that I kind of went through putting it together. Um, and it was incredible. And then within that first year, I started booking out like crazy, and I was still home with my kids, COVID, and they weren't back at school yet. And by the time things were kind of like starting to kind of regroup back at work, I was like, if I go back to work, I was like, I'm probably going to get fired. I need like 40 days off. I've booked a
Yeah.
ton of weddings at this point. And I was like, so I just told my husband, I said, just let me see what happens here. I said, if anything, I can go, this can be part time. I got my notary uh, Republic stuff. And so I was like, I do be doing notaries and be flexible with the kids. And that was really the end of that. It just sort of took off on its own. And and like because of the COVID year, I sort of became this elopement officiant. So then I was like
Yeah.
on the mountains and at the beach and in the
Yep.
forest
Yep.
and like all these things that people I think assume that I just am like into. And I was like, I had no idea what I was doing. None whatsoever. I was just meeting people in the woods. But it was great. Like, and then just it
Yeah.
spun from there.
Yeah. No, that's dope. And one thing I want to highlight as you're speaking is you have kind of like the confidence in your ability and skill from the beginning. Like you didn't kind of was like, okay, I did my first ceremony. Okay, like that went pretty good. And then got like nervous about, going out there or anything like that. You're kind of like, no, how do I keep doing
Yeah.
this? How do I expand myself more? Like I know I did a great job. And it's like to the point where you're missing out if you don't work with me and you adapted that. It seems like very early. So
I
I
did,
love
which
it.
is like it's strange. Like I did I just like more than anything I just really liked the feeling of it. I really enjoyed the feeling of it. It kind of fed that extroverted side of me a little bit to be able to do that. I'm great in a room of strangers. I can go and mingle and do my thing. Like I don't need a babysitter, so I'm
Mhm.
pretty good. Or some people, are not really like that, but I definitely like
Yeah.
as I've aged. Um, I would say I'm an introverted extrovert or an extroverted introvert at this point. Like I can go out do my thing, but like that ride home, like
Silent.
she's quiet. It's like
Yes. That's great. So I really would love to start to have a conversation around authenticity. I think we've had our own separate conversations and really just speaking to how officiating is truly about authenticity. Your couples, they're looking at you as the professional, they're looking at you
yeah,
as the person that's up there speaking with them, they're looking at you as the person who is going to be, representing them and taking over and leading not only them through the ceremony, but the wedding party, the guests, and just showing up as I don't know, they're looking for like this public speaker, kind of like rock star. You
yeah,
know what I mean? Like take the attention off of me in a
hmm
way, but like still highlight us,
absolutely.
still make it, centric to us. So I would love for you to talk about, how you kind of came into your authenticity and brought that into your brand, like literally intricately woven it
Yeah.
into your brand. And how have you stayed true to that and for officiants who are struggling, because we see it a lot, and I'm sure you have people asking you questions, how can you embrace your authenticity as the officiant?
So starting off, just like so many people, I think I was focused on like how to make this work. How do I book more people? Like coming off professionally, and I don't know if it's like in how I grew up or whatever, but I was like it was very I offer a service, I'm on time, I have a reasonable price. It was very basic, very very basic. And I was just kind of like I want to work and I want to make this work, and I'm trying to prove to my family that this can work, so I'm just taking on whatever comes my way. Um, and so I was like things that I would put on my Facebook, or not my Facebook, my Instagram, because I didn't have my website yet, were just very like kind of generic starting off. Like I certainly wanted to make sure people knew that I was accepting of all those. So no matter their race, religion, sexual preference, like
Mm,
all that kind of stuff. That part was fine. And I wanted that to come out right away. But the rest of it, I just was focused on being professional. Um, and so then straight out the gate, I noticed there was a couple people that I'm like, it's not that I dislike you, but I don't know if I'd want to run into you in a grocery store. And so I was like, okay, I worked in a business, a regular business, for too long to fall back into that. I was like, if I'm going to do this on my own, I really want to be able to be me. So it didn't take too long before I was like, I have to put more of myself, my own face and my interests and things like that out there for people to see. I was like, because if I'm putting that out there, the people that I wouldn't necessarily connect with will not likely want to connect with me. So um,
yes.
I wanted to be authentic myself so that I was attracting people that I would want to speak with. Um,
Yeah.
and so, yeah, it didn't take long for that to happen. It only takes a couple of interesting
Yes.
situations where you're like, I'm gonna pass on this one. And and then because of that, I also started to realize like, okay, it's not just black and white in terms of like, oh, I like them, I don't like them, or we get along or we don't get along. Sometimes it was like, oh, I think you're great people, but I don't know if I'm the right fit for you. And so building a community and like getting to meet other officiants in the area. Like I get couples now that reach out to me and I'm like, I think your story sounds really, really incredible. But from what I'm hearing of what you want for your ceremony, there's this other officiant who I think would do a better job for you than me. And I've sent people away and they've talked to someone and come back and they're like, okay, we still want to work with you. And I'm like, okay, now how can I give you what you want while not feeling like I'm doing something that I wouldn't naturally do? Um,
Yeah, yeah.
but yeah, that was a huge part of it. Was like building a community where I can go, okay, I can't do them all. You know, who can I work with? And so that was another way of me feeling like I'm being true to myself. I'm also now supporting someone else in their journey and their business, and supporting this couple, um, for what they want for their ceremony. So it was not. It's not just one point. It's like there's all
Yeah.
these pieces that like fit together, and they can fit together so beautifully if you allow it. Because and that was where also like pricing came into play. I was sort of like, I could have a lower price and take on more, so I can be saying yes to everybody, or they can be saying yes to me. I was like, but it just doesn't. I'm like, the burnout comes too quick with that. You get exhausted.
Yeah, no. And I love how you kind of spoke to the beginning, right? When you're first starting off as an officiant, you just want to get some reps in, right? You want to see that you can actually do this, prove to yourself that you can do this and that your services are valuable. But that does come sometimes at a deficit, yeah, of you having to have unenjoyable experiences and you learn and you work through them. But I love how you started to, for yourself, establish kind of boundaries, professional boundaries. Like, okay, regardless of what the money number is, or my want or desire to fill up my calendar, I know for myself, this isn't, this might not be a good match, the best match, provide the best experience. So, how did you really start to develop those boundaries? And I don't know, I'm not saying get on your soapbox, but like sometimes people do need permission to
Yeah,
be like, hey, this is my business. Like I can establish boundaries. I don't just want to be for everybody.
right.
And that can feel scary because you think you're might be missing out on something, but it's better for you in the
Oh my
long
gosh,
run. So
yeah.
I ain't gonna say preach to the people, but go ahead.
Listen, so like I said, I worked at my like my big girl job, my grown up job for 16 years, and it was great. Like I made great money. I was doing well. Dentistry. If you're looking in the medical field, dentistry is great. You don't work nights, you don't work weekends. Usually, like it's
Yeah.
very nice. I was like, this is great. Um, and but as it went on, I was like, I just got burnt out from that job, and people are not happy to come to the dentist all the time. Not, and especially not in a surgery center. So, you just kind of get like, rah, rah, rah. And I noticed that towards the end of that job, I kind of had like the way you'd be like listed in a yearbook. I was like, oh, Cherise is she's a bit of a wench. Like I just had like, I had just gotten salty. And, And I was just like, because I'm just tired of it. And then I would come home and complain about, like, oh my God, these people, blah, blah, blah. Like, I just was, it drug on me. And so when I transitioned into officiating, which was very much like, it was a joyful job, not even a job yet, it was a joyful project, a peaceful project starting off. Then it was like, okay, this could be a side hustle. And then it just sort of took me on. And so as it grew and sort of took on its own, uh, space and turn this into full time for me, it was very quick that I was like, I don't want to feel the way I did at the end of my previous job or like the last few years of that. I was like, this is my thing. I'm controlling it, which means I get to control how I feel with it. And like, now that being said, I work. I'm at my little office space morning till night. Like, I'm putting in so many more
Yeah.
hours, but they're hours that I want to put in and that I enjoy putting in. And then I also have the ability to go like, okay, I'm gonna turn this off now. I can look at my schedule. Both my kids' birthdays are in June, so like the next year advance, I'm already like, I can block these dates off and like I'm not tripping about it because I can do that myself. I'm making my schedule. Um, and that was like something I really had to. I think there are a lot of people that want to go into business for themselves, and that's their leading priorities. Like, I want to manage my own schedule. No one's telling me what to do, which is great. But for me, it was different. Like, because I feel like I just sort of like got not pushed into this, but I sort of flowed into this. And then I had the opportunity to go like, okay, if I'm going to let this run, then how can I make it work from every angle? I want it to make me happy. I want it to make me money. I want it to bring me peace. Um, and so, yeah, I just kind of was like, I really do get to call the shots on it. So like, how do I want that to look?
That's good. That's good. And I think a lot of times that question business owners aren't asking themselves. I think they get to a place of like, okay, I don't want to work for anybody anymore, or I want to be able to make my own schedule, or I want to be able to, not have a cap on my earning
Mm-hmm.
potential, something like that. But then we then get stuck, in our
Yeah.
business and we, fall victim to, like you said, burnout or maybe feeling undervalued or, just being overwhelmed by like the work that I'm doing that is like I don't love it anymore. You
Yeah,
know
for
what I
sure.
mean? And so yeah, I like how you're questioning, yourself, okay, I want to be happy. I want to, be able to get paid. I want to be able to have peace in the work that I'm doing. How can I structure this really good skill set of public speaking in the form of storytelling for weddings to be able to do that?
Absolutely. And I also I guess I can't move forward without saying this. I'm in a position with a two income household. My husband also works. So, like, that also has given me the opportunity to be a little bit more flexible. Like, I'm not working from a place where, if I don't take a wedding this weekend, my family doesn't eat or my lights aren't going to be on or things like that. So, I absolutely have to put that out there as well because I'm not in that position and I can only imagine what that could be like for someone else. So,
Yeah, thank you for adding that caveat because, that part is true. Everybody has different, let's just say, home lives.
yeah, for
So
sure.
they have availability to do different things. That's good. That's good. One thing I noticed about your pricing, which I do not see very often, so I wanted to hear just kind of the idea behind it, but seasonal. You have seasonal package
Yeah.
pricing. Is it like geographically because it's like harder to do weddings because of, the area that you're in is cold, more snow or something like that? Like I would love to for you to talk about how you came up with the seasonal pricing model because like I said, you really don't see that
Yeah.
much anywhere and definitely not publicly,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
transparently put out there. But then how does that impact your business?
Yeah, the seasonal, like, the wedding business here is seasonal. So like July, August, I probably had 20 weddings each month. November,
Mhm.
December, I might do 5 total. Like,
Yeah.
it is very seasonal. And so that's one of those things like I get to run my own thing and I was like, folks who are getting married in the winter here, a lot of times they're getting something a little bit cheaper, a little bit less expensive. So, for example, there's this wedding venue not too far from me. gorgeous venue. A Saturday in July, I think to book it is like 8 to 10,000. That's just for the venue. That's not food. That's nothing. But you can rent that
Right.
same venue on a Thursday in February, and it's 2,500. The same thing.
Yeah.
So I was like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
oh, okay, yeah, yeah. So then I was just like, yeah, why not? And I also, for me, I have a little bit more time then, so I'm not like rushing to get a ceremony script like ready or something like that. So I was like, why not? I can do it. Make my own prices.
Yeah.
Now I list my prices very purposefully. I was fielding too many calls, and we're having a great call, and then I go into price and they're like, oof, my budget was pennies on the
Like,
dollar.
yeah.
And I'm like, well,
Right.
now we've wasted both of our times. Like, and that's no shade anyway. That's like, if that's what's your budget, stay within your budget. Don't
Yeah.
stretch to fit, something that is unfittable. But also I was like, well, I could have been time that I was with my family, writing a script, doing absolutely nothing at all. Like, whatever. Like, so yeah, I am very purposeful about that. And that's another way of like,
That's
yeah,
good.
protecting my time and my sanity. And
Mhm.
so, yeah, for me,
Yeah.
I list them. Let's start there, and then we go forward.
Yes. Honestly, yeah, I adopted that model too when I came in. Like, let's not be confused about why we're here. And people still ask you, like, well, what's your price? And I'm like, girl,
it,
but
I'm like,
yes,
I like
so it
I'm
will
paying for a
happen.
full website. Check her out, okay? Uh,
Yes, yes,
and then
literally.
there's like a lot of Facebook groups, and I would see someone, oh, we're looking for an officiant, budget $100, and then I would see people start to throw my name in there, and I was like,
And I'm like,
oh my god, here we go. So then I was like, if I sure go ahead and put my name in there, fine. But when they pull me up, as they should, if they're gonna look at it, they're gonna see it on there, and like, then we just don't have to. Hmm.
oh my gosh. So I would love to have a little bit of conversation around social media
Yeah.
presence. So, of course, we live in two different states, so I didn't like walk down the street and find you. I came across you on social media, and I love how just your presence shows up. And again, just the way that you have authentically kind of woven yourself in there as being a more fun officiant, or even speaking to being a adventure
Hmm.
officiant when you're going into these mountains and just in these areas that it's just a non-traditional where place and way to have a wedding and get married. And I feel like most of those are usually elopements, right? You haven't done do they typically bring a lot of people when you go to these mountaintops and
It's
stuff?
getting it's becoming that way where they are starting to bring more guests. Like people are
Really?
wanting to like elope, like have the ceremony outside, and they're getting the pictures and da da da, and then they're having dinner like at a place, like they're booking a place, or having a chef come to the Airbnb. So they're definitely expanding on elopements and like what's happening there. I've seen that over the course of the last few years, but um,
Good. Yes.
oh yeah, my social
How
yeah social media presence.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so how important is it to build that social media presence? And if you want to share your strategy, go ahead, but at least throw out an approach that you can recommend for someone new starting out who may not have the social proof or the website or the reviews just yet, but like want to start building on their voice as an officiant and how they show up in the market.
absolutely. So for me, the social media aspect of it was it and still is incredibly important. It is free, and it is an extension of your website. It's the access to you that people get to like really get to see more, in real time, almost like what's going on with you. Um, I do not, I do not have strategy in terms of like I'm posting 3 times a week and I'm doing this and I'm on Mondays and Wednesdays because if I do, I'm out. Like that is like when I see people posting like just taking a social media break and I need a break, I'm like, that's telling me you probably have overstretched yourself on it. Like the social media is supposed to be fun. It's supposed to, so for me, and I'm sure that there are people that have strategies that like really benefit them and like help their business out. For me, I have been able to grow my social media off truly being absolutely green and just like, yeah, I posted today. I posted a few reels, but I have not posted a post about weddings in probably too long. Um, and I've been like actively like, okay, let me go ahead and pick one from all the galleries I've gotten recently and start getting these out. But also, I guess there was some form of strategy in that because during busy wedding season, I can be putting a ton of stuff on my stories. You're getting tagged in so many things. If someone posts me, tags me something, I'm gonna reshare it. You know, I haven't had anything bad lately, so I'm not whatever. But like, yeah, I'll reshare it. But by saving some of it now during slow season, I've got something to put in there.
Yeah.
So I've got like some
Yeah.
stuff on the, that I've been waiting. But yeah, I just want it to be fun. And you connect with these people on social media so much. By the time you get to see them, especially, if I'm working with planners, photographers, whatever, I'm just like, oh, hey, girl, I
Yep.
saw the last wedding you did. That was so good. Da, 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 da. Let's get a quick selfie.
Yep.
And then my whole like officiant selfie thing, that was so wild. I actually saw there's a officiant based in California, this guy Chris, and he had posted something and used the hashtag officiant selfie. And I was like, oh. And so then I just used it and used it. And then because I am 39, this is all I know how to do. This is my post. And so it just sort of stuck that way. And then seeing people adopt it, other officiants adopt it, and then tag me in it is probably one of the coolest things I've seen. I'm like, this is world stretch. This is crazy. There's officiants in Australia that were redoing it. I was like, this is nuts. Like, and there's like some adrenaline that comes with that, and just like, wow, you really are making these connections with people kind of all over. Like, I'm not just in Tacoma anymore. Now you know, I'm kind of all over. So yeah, I just like to keep it light and keep it fun. I do try to like share something in my story at least once a day. Whether I'm resharing something or reposting something that someone's tagged me in or whatever. But outside of that, like I don't let it stress me out either. I'm just kind of like, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like that's that type B where I'm like, I'm not gonna let my Instagram run me.
Yes. Yes. Listen, it's a lot of things that can put a lot of pressure on a business owner, no matter what industry, they're in. But I think it's additional pressure just in the wedding industry because it's so much conversation about it being an emotional
Yes.
connection and you being able to, show yourself and your personality through your photos. And it's always this push, push,
Yeah.
push for social media. But I just love, again, your type B approach to it,
Like
which is
it has
my,
to be like because
there you go.
and I have to tell her in a quick meeting. Oh my god, no. It's my mom. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm like, Mom, I told you this. Give me a minute. Okay, we're good.
Dang. Was I asking a question? Oh no, I was just saying that I love, your type B approach to it and that we can take the pressure off of ourselves, but still understand that social media is supposed to be used as a tool
Absolutely.
for, expanding your visibility, just exposing more people to your services, your offerings, and just showcasing, like you said, highlighting the things you do in your business, the face behind the business, and just the different ways that you show up and the impact you make with your guests, your couple, your other vendors, all of
Yeah.
that stuff. So
And actually, I
don't
know
stress yourself out.
I can't, yeah, absolutely. And I guess I should back up a little because I did say it is free. It is free. It can be a free extension. I ended up um getting verified through Instagram very purposely because I by that point I put so much into my social media. I had so many pictures and things on there, and I really felt like it was an extension of my website. Um, and I was kind of like, I want to protect it now. And I actually have seen quite a few people whose Instagrams have gotten hacked or something like that. And I'm like, damn, you put so much into it, and like to have to rebuild. I was like, cause I was like, is this worth it? I'm not Kim Kardashian. They're not going to verify me like that. So how does this work? And then yeah, eventually I was like, no, this really is something like I want to protect it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. And you know what? Just because you mentioned that, I have been hearing quite a few I'm gonna call them horror stories because
Mhm.
it's horrible to me. But where people's pages are being taken down, not just their Instagram page, right? Their Google My Business page, or maybe their pages on different like platforms, profiles, and stuff like that. So I don't know. How do you handle adversity? Because that would be devastating for something like that to happen. Or if you get a bad review and you
Yeah.
feel like that's going to negatively impact your business, or there's just different ways that you can face adversity within your business. So necessarily to have to share any specific examples, but kind of like for your type B approach.
Yeah.
Give us another way to kind of at least give us a different perspective to handle it.
Yeah. I mean, I have been fortunate that I have not received like on my Google page or anything a bad review. My I can only guess that like if that were to happen, or if I were to have like, I don't know, a disagreement or something with a couple about something, it's just kind of like my first approach is, this is your wedding, not mine. So what can I do to, like, once we're in crunch mode like that, we're down to the end, like what can I do to help this situation out? Um but I feel like I'm just very, the way I'm talking to you now is the way I'm going to talk to my couple. I'm you're not going to get me heightened to a place where like I'm arguing with a stranger. Um I'm just kind of like, okay, what can we do moving forward? But yeah, I mean, I guess I, I I would be crazy to think that I would never have to cross that bridge. So like when I get to that bridge, I'll cross it then and see. But I've absolutely had couples that like, I feel like we had a great call, and then I follow up and I'm like, do I have any other questions, or any, can I answer anything for you? And they're kind of like, oh, we're going to go in a different direction. Um, and occasionally I'm kind of like, okay, best of luck to you. And then there are a couple where I'm like, was it something I said? What are we like? Because I thought we were vibing.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
a lot of times I find it's like there are certain things that like certain traditions that they maybe want to really go with that are like not like my vibe.
Yeah.
So I had done this TikTok maybe a year or so ago of like things that I just won't say as a modern day wedding officiant, and one of them was like, you may kiss your bride, or who gives this woman to be married to this man? And I had no idea it was going to blow up. It went crazy. And the number of people that were like, if I'm paying you, that's what you're going to say. And then I was like, oh, negative. But I'm also like, that's a conversation that I have right at the gate. Like, okay, like I'm cool with all the traditional elements of a ceremony, vows, rings, da da da. I said, but there are certain things that I'm not comfortable with. So saying particular things like that. So instead, I have like a modern version. Like, you may seal this union with a kiss, or do you offer
Hmm.
your blessing as A and B unite their lives, rather than like this kind of heavy on the patriarchy sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Um, and then again, like with the religion, I have no problem with saying we're gathered here today in front of God, family, and friends. But if you're asking me now to read scripture or do things like that, I'm not going to. I'll find out, how can we incorporate it. Do you want to pull in a loved one? I said also, like, it's going to be much more authentic for you that way, rather than me reading these words off a piece of paper that I don't necessarily vibe with. So I've had a few that have gone different directions because they want something a little bit more heavy in like sort of the old school tradition. I'm like, hey, cool. I'm like, I am grateful that you know that about yourself, and that I've made myself clear that there are certain roads I won't go down.
That's good. And I think that kind of tied into our conversation a little bit earlier about just like boundaries, like figuring out what it is that you're comfortable with, letting that be like the line drawn and not wavering just based on, I thought I really vibe with them. They want me to do this. Let me just, I don't really like to do it, but I'm gonna just do it. You know what I mean?
For
Like
sure.
certain things like that. And it's funny because, of course, I'm sure, you've heard Bethel tell this story about, a couple wanting her to wear a robe and things of that nature, and just wanting to understand, like, hey, it's not exactly what I do.
Right.
And, you just got to be okay with that. But as a business owner, it's super important to, again, establish those boundaries, set them, draw that line in the sand, and don't like kick around about it,
For sure.
don't compromise yourself
Yeah.
essentially. I
Absolutely.
love that. So you are the talk around town. I don't I use your own messaging on you in this moment, but I mean, just the sense of the recognition that you get from different organizations within the wedding industry for your area, right? And so, and then on top of that, it's not just a recognition, is that I see you at these different bridal shows and
Mhm.
just showing up around town and just supporting your local, wedding community and your
Yeah.
local community in general. And, these are different ways of not only, you don't only do digital marketing. That's the point I'm getting at. You're not only
Okay.
just
Yeah.
showing up in
Yeah.
social media, you're showing up in real life
Yeah.
as well. You're doing this physical marketing. So I love your approach to combining both of those.
Mhm.
Now, is there a strategy to that?
No one likes this. No, there's really not. Like it's really it's all built in relationships for me.
Yeah.
So uh yeah, showing up to things that are around, going to the WIPA meetings, going to things like that. I'm going as like social interaction and like meeting other people. And then I also, once you start to build a community, like, oh, so and so is going to be at this event, like let me slide through, let's see each other, like
Yeah.
we're good to hang out, see each other outside of like a wedding. And so and I think when I first started, and even now, I'm so green in my approach in terms of like I'm just going out there and like kind of winging it, just being me. Like, I see you and Norm like being in some of what was the one, the thing that you just posted about.
Oh, the Cotier retreat.
Yeah, and then also maybe it's through Wedding Wire or the Knot. You guys are
Y'all, the Fellowship for
the
Change
fellowship.
program.
Those things.
Yes.
When I tell you, I never even heard, had no idea. Like everything that I was starting, that I've been building, like on my Instagram stuff, is literally just me going oop oop posting. Like I really have built this up just playing around, like and putting the way I put together my ceremonies and all that is just like I've had the opportunity to just figure it out with, I don't want to say not any help, but like I wasn't looking for the help. I just didn't know that it was out there to get.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
now that I see more things, I'm like, oh, I'm so happy for you guys that you're finding this, and like, because I was just working through it and like figuring it out. Which was like cool, but difficult in its own. Like, and so because of that, but because of the relationships I've built with so many other vendors, I've had an opportunity to meet, like, you meet one person, then you meet three other people that they know, and then you meet the other people that they know. A big thing around here, I don't know if it happens everywhere, but people do styled shoots. And a lot of times these styled shoots don't have an officiant.
Yes.
Um, and I had made a comment to someone like, well, why? Like, why?
Yeah.
And they didn't really have an answer. And so I was like, okay, well, I'll do it. And then all of a sudden I was like doing tons of them. It's like an off season.
Yeah.
It gives you an opportunity to be creative, them to be creative. And then you're just like meeting, other people, and you start to get to know them. And now all of a sudden these people are referring you and referring you and referring you. And yeah, relationships have probably been the biggest thing in terms of like connecting uh, with the wedding world itself.
I love that. But again, there's intentionality behind this, right? Because so many people, they do not want to leave their house. They also don't want to show up
100%.
on camera. So I don't, the two to two, the
Yeah.
math don't be mathing, and
Yeah,
that's another conversation.
absolutely.
But yeah, it's this, again, the intentionality of showing up. And so now you can have people nominate for you and vote for you, and you're in position to like win these things and have that recognition brought to the work that you do. And then I want you to just go a little bit into your ideas of expansion. So I've been seeing you post
Yes.
a little bit about this Sign and Celebrate Studios.
Yes. Okay.
Look at your
So,
smile. Go ahead, tell.
so obviously I do tons of weddings, tons of weddings. I'm doing elopements, I'm doing large venues, I'm doing all the things. Um, I do what's called Sign and Celebrates, like in my own business, like Another One Ties the Knot, where, well, how do I preface this? So I live fairly close to a military base, and I was getting a ton of couples that are like, hey, we need to get married on the fly for whatever reason, not my business. And other ones sometimes are like, we're having our big wedding back in Kentucky, but we need to get married now. Someone's getting deployed. Like, okay, cool. So I started doing these like license signings, which during great weather, during busy season, during fall, summer, no big deal. I live near the water. Cute, meet me over there. We do it. Perfect. As the weather starts to turn, my office is my home. I don't have people come to my home. There are lots of folks that do. I do not.
Yeah.
And so I was getting a ton of couples that were like, "Do you have an office? Do you have a place that we can meet? Where can we go?" And so I've been hearing that for
Yeah.
years, and I'm like, so it started off with like a very small idea of like, maybe I could just rent a small office space and have them meet me there. And then I was kind of like, sometimes those people want a little bit more, not quite a full blown wedding, but they want it to be just a little bit, like a
Picturesque.
courthouse style, but
Yeah.
like elevated. And so I
Yeah.
was like, okay, how could I do something like that? And my business partner, Sam, she's like, she asks you, what's your 5-year plan? And then you tell her, and she's like, why is that 5 years? Why can't that be 6 months? And I'm like, I don't know, because I don't have anything, whatever. Like, I don't have a space. And so she really was like, kind of propelled me into like, let's just look, like, what can we find? So then it gave me the opportunity to really expand. I'm like, okay, well, what I would really like to do the next 5-10 years, which I guess we could do sooner, is have almost like something cross between the courthouse and a Vegas style wedding, but elevated. So this is where the type B in me comes in, because I'm not a designer. I'm not a planner. I don't want to be a wedding planner. Um, but what I want to offer is a space that's like beautiful on its own. Like, this is the setup. You're welcome, to rent the space, and now we can perform your ceremony. You can have, a few of your loved ones in here. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be legal. And then we're in a really great location where now you guys can go, we can help you get set up to have, reservations for dinner down the street and support another like small business, restaurant, and whatever the case is. So, it was really like, and it's an opportunity for me to kind of fill the need that I have seen over the last couple of years when people are asking me for, we want a little bit more. How can you make that happen?
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, the birth of this idea of sign and celebrate kind of, yeah, came from that. And so I'm super excited. We just signed the lease. So things are happening. I think I'm still kind of like, is this real? Am I really doing this? So it's definitely not going to take me out of like officiating, being hired as an officiant elsewhere. But this is just an opportunity to have like my own little space and to be closer to home. I love the elopements. They're great. You can, my poor little car, she got miles on her. I've taken her to the mountains many a times. So I'm like, it'll give me the opportunity to be more intentional about which elopements, and all weddings really, that I take much further from home. Because I don't know how far you travel, but if I'm, Mount Baker, Artist Point is a spot that I go to quite a bit, and it is 4 hours one way. And so I'll drive 4 hours, get to the top of the mountain. A lot of times, if there's no snow, I'm not actually doing a ton of hiking. It's like very nice
Yeah.
off the
Yeah.
parking lot, but I'm there for 30 to 40 minutes, and then I'm back in the car. And
Yep.
so I'm like, okay, it is gorgeous up there, but after you've done it 50
A
times,
couple
you're
of
like,
times. Yeah. Well, look at that tree. Still there, still looking the same,
yeah, I'm
still
like,
beautiful.
oh, yeah, lovely.
Oh my gosh. So I would love for you, just because you've, shared your experience, and I guess you would consider yourself an established professional, right?
Yeah, I
In
think
our
at this point
field.
I can, even though it
Yeah.
still sounds, I'm like,
I'll happily give you the title. So, we're embracing it today. But yeah, I would love to hear, what is your hope for the evolution of officiants within the industry? Because, there's a lot of discourse online about where we are
yeah,
currently. We see officiants fighting day and night to be recognized in tagged posts
yeah,
and styled shoots, and just in these places where you would think, hey, if there's a wedding happening, an officiant
yeah,
has to be involved, right? And it's not quite happening like that.
right,
And I think if we're going to speak quite honestly, I think it's also the way that officiants value themselves,
100%.
the ownership that they take and the responsibility that they hold for the day. and, gaining more confidence in that. So yeah, what is your hope for the future?
Yeah. So what I what I noticed initially is, especially here where we are, it's much easier to become ordained and to officiate ceremonies. You don't have to be clergy or anything like that. And so a lot of couples were having a loved one officiate. So all the other vendors are used to that. So when posts were first going up, and I was kind of like, hello, I didn't get tagged in this, and I was kind of like, I have to do a better job of making sure I'm making myself known, that I am here as a vendor just like the rest of us, just like the rest of you. So
Yeah.
um prior to a wedding, I send out an email the same way a planner sends out an email. Hey, and I'm touching base with all the vendors, and especially planner, DJ, photographer, videographer. This is the sequence of events for the ceremony. This is what to expect. This is my arrival time. I prefer a lapel, but if you don't have that, I can do a handheld. I'm making like all these
Yeah,
connections.
here
This
we
is
go.
the last
Yeah.
line I'm going to say before they exit down the aisle. So I'm putting myself in there where you can't ignore me anymore. I'm here. And I think that all of us, because the ceremony is such a small portion of the day in terms of timing, that like
Yeah.
it can go by very quickly. You're looking at the flowers all day. You're eating the food. You're hearing the DJ. You're seeing the setup. Like the officiant space is really, it's just a lot of talking.
Yeah.
And then we're done. And so it's like
Yeah.
we have to kind of like we have to get ourselves in the room a little bit and sort of get to the
Yeah.
front to let them know who we are. And then I think really understanding that there are an ungodly amount of weddings happening each year, and we cannot do them all. So having connection with other officiants is so important. We are only one person or a small business of maybe a couple officiants, and so being okay with being not the chosen one, I think, is really important. So like I said, I have a list of officiants in my area that I happily send couples to, like without thinking twice about it. This person's great, this person's great, yada yada yada. um
Yeah.
and so just knowing that we can only do so much, and so what we are hired to do it. Like, don't make it just a job that you're filling. It has to be something that you're connected to as well. And then also, don't be afraid if you see something go out and you don't get tagged in it. It's okay to send them a quick little DM.
Yes.
I'm not going to call it out like in the post. I might be like, oh, this is super cute. DM, yo,
Yeah.
don't forget about your girl in there. But I also make sure that like when I'm posting my things, when I'm posting my officiant selfie or whatever, I'm tagging the people that were in that as well,
Yeah.
because we were all there.
Yeah. Well, we were all there.
Yeah, like
That is a good point. And I want to share something that a photographer said to me. He was like, we can't really tell when there is a professional officiant versus a newer officiant, or I'm going to say newer because amateur or friend,
right,
family, however
yeah,
you want to call it. Yeah. So it's like one, they don't really know the difference, right? So something like you sending out that pre-email, it's more than just, of course, when you get there, you're going to talk to them and introduce yourself, but how amazing is it that he know your name and what you look like before you even walk up, right? It just establishes a different type of connection.
absolutely,
And another thing that he emphasized was a lot of times officiants don't have any social proof, and not social proof as in reviews or photos or whatever, like literally a website or a business
yeah,
card or Instagram or something to say that you actually want to do this maybe again, like
yeah,
just another time. And that was a big thing that he also said. So even when there are people who, want to show up as professional or, bring on the title as a professional officiant, when you're not connecting with them outside of, the wedding by providing your information
yeah,
and, taking in their information and doing little things like doing BTS of them or doing a selfie with all of y'all, or like you said, just sharing their business name with your audience when you tag your own selfie, they don't know that you actually do this for real or that you want to do this for real,
Yeah.
but they have no idea.
Business
So,
business cards are like, I know a lot of times business cards get tossed or whatever, but like they're also fairly inexpensive to have, and have a QR code on it that links, if you don't have a website yet, have it linked to your Instagram or something. I personally, for me, my Instagram, I have a business Instagram, I've got a personal private Instagram. If I'm looking for to hire someone, I don't want to go down a florist page and I just see 87 pictures of your dog and what you did. Like, I want to see your work because I'm trying to see what's going on here. um, so like I am very intentional about that, about like my business page is my business page. Now, of course, I have some stuff on there because I still want to come off as authentic and like this is who I am. But I'm just, you're not going to get 45 posts of me, you
yeah.
know.
Listen, she's like, "Where's my daughter? Listen, I'm giving her back. Just give me like 10 more minutes."
Right? And I'm like, my gosh, sorry, she will survive.
It's good.
She'll live. She'll live.
So we definitely went through a lot of topics, conversation, drop gems, advice, strategy.
Yeah,
Love to know, was there anything, any topic that you wanted to chat about that I did not cover, or a question that, you thought I was going to ask and you're like, girl, you ain't asked this yet? So,
no, honestly, I don't think so. Like, I really like being able to just like have conversations like this, like just just chatting and letting people kind of in on it. It feels less salesy, um and to just see that like it is perfectly okay to just be who you are, and like and let that be kind of the face and the body of your business, um and kind of moving forward. And yeah, no, I not from my end. I don't think I can think.
okay, well, that makes me happy. Um, I would love for you to share if there's any officiant mentorship, coaching, education products or offerings that you have. Please let our community know and how we can get in contact with you.
Yeah, absolutely. So, again, the business name is Another One Ties the Knot, and then the studio that I'm opening soon is going to be Sign and Celebrate Studios. In terms of how to find me, you can find me Another One Ties the Knot kind of everywhere. And then, um, gosh, what else is going? Oh, I do also offer officiant consulting. I fully understand that there are lots of couples that like really do want to have a loved one officiate for them, and so that's another way of like honoring them, honoring community. Like a lot of times they're going to ask someone to do it, and it doesn't mean that person is going to turn into a big professional officiant. It just means that they want to learn how to do it. And so, um, I have on my website, I do one-on-one coaching for folks, and then I also have a digital download that they can. It's going to give them very basic information. It is kind of geared towards Washington in terms of like how they're going to sign the license and that kind of stuff. Um, they can still put together a ceremony from it, but in terms of like the legal aspects, it's talking mostly about here. Also, it's fairly simple to get married here, so easy to kind of go through that. And then I also have a vow writing guide, so that's not limited to my couples only. If anyone is interested in it, needs a little help with their vows, which I find a lot of people get nervous about it, then I have a digital download for that as well. I also make sure that like on my website, I'm shouting out other vendors. All the photos are going to be backlinked to photographers. I have, highly recommended vendors on there. I think showing through my website that I am also connected with this other community is really important for people to see that like I'm not in a pigeonhole by myself.
Yeah.
But yeah, stay tuned for all the things. Stay up on the Instagram for like the latest and greatest to see what's happening, and then yeah. And what you and Norm have been putting together is really incredible. And I think I have had a wedding like every Thursday that you guys have a meetup, because I've only made one and I keep wanting to make another. So now, if they keep happening during the slower season for me, I will be able to make more of them. But it's really exciting to watch, everybody, and like just kind of watch and see how everybody is growing. And I really appreciate you reaching out to me. This has been an incredible experience.
Yes, I am just floored. I fangirled the first time you hopped into our social because we just, again, we tracked such newer
Hmm.
officiants that when we start to see more seasoned veteran, our OGs, our officiants that we again fangirl about on the internet show up in our space and see the benefit of pouring back into our community and see the benefit of uplifting, other officiants. It lets newer officiants know you do not have to come into this space with a competitive spirit.
No, not
So
at
I think,
all. Not at
yeah,
all.
I appreciate it so much. And again, you taking this time.
Yes, thank
I would
you.
love, yes, I would love for you if you have any last little tidbit, or lesson you want to share or pass along to an officiant just starting out.
Yeah, I would say especially for an officiant who maybe hasn't had a ceremony themselves, like been married themselves, think about things that you would really love to have in your own, whether that's going through Pinterest or seeing in a movie, whatever, and finding out what speaks to you and kind of let that sort of guide how you would like to move forward in the ceremony space, because I think it's important to be able to honor yourself while honoring someone else. And yeah, just it's okay to be you however you are. That does not mean you have to be a type B person like me. I just am. I just like it that way. But yeah, being able to show up as yourself is one of the most rewarding things. Like, as corny as that sounds, it really truly is, because that means that I don't have to turn it off and on when I go places. I get to just be me and be in a space where people are generally very happy. It's their wedding ceremony. Um, yeah, it's totally okay. But connecting, finding other officiants around you and seeing what they're doing, follow them and see that it can give you so much insight. I absolutely follow along with everyone, the new ones, the season ones, all of them.
Yeah, no, me too. Me too. And I love this point that you said, and I just want to reiterate it and just add my own 2 cents, which was, even if you haven't had a wedding ceremony yet for yourself,
Hmm.
imagine what you would want and then provide that. Of course, with your couple's guidelines, insights, all of that stuff. Yes, but still provide that. And one thing that I cannot remember who said it or where I got it from, but it was like, write the love story like you're writing your own.
Yeah,
And that has been something that I have adapted. And I'm like, well, my love story is still being written personally, but
yeah,
I love that idea and that concept. And I was like, yeah, I'm writing this love story like I'm writing my own love story. I'm just using these details,
yeah,
like it's a different version of it. So that has been something that at least have been able to set me, apart and gave me more confidence within how I show up as an officiant and really reflect and honor,
yeah,
their story authentically and in a vibrant way.
yeah. I love it. I love it.
Yes. Well, we will see you next time, guys.
Yes, thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.